Around the Ozarks is now on your FM radio. Listen to Around the Ozarks mornings with Grace Gooley as I spotlight local people, stories, and podcasts, all while playing the country legends of the 90s and the hit makers of the 2000s. It's on the Ozarks' best country, 105.1 The Bull.
Welcome to Beyond the Gate, a podcast sharing the grit, growth, and spirits of rural life. From fields to front porches, this is where the heart of agriculture comes alive. Today we go beyond the gate with the newly elected Missouri State FFA president. She's a leader, she's a competitor, she's an agri-science researcher, and she knows a thing or two of hard work on the family farm. Ellie Samek, welcome to the studio.
Thank you, Jamie. I'm excited to be here today and share more about my journey in FFA and promote agriculture education across our state of Missouri and the nation.
Okay, we're going to talk FFA, but first, who's Ellie?
I was born and raised on my family's farm down in southwest Missouri. I'm originally from Bolivar, and growing up, we ran a dairy farm. I loved growing up on a dairy farm. I remember going out to the barn to help my grandpa milk the cows or feed the bottle babies on our dairy, and so growing up in production agriculture really jump-started my passion for this industry. In 2020, we transitioned from that dairy farm more into a beef cattle and row crop operation, which I've really come to love both sides of that. Also, growing up, we showed just about any animal you could imagine at the county fair.
Rabbit?
Yes, occasionally we had a
duck?
rabbit. No duck, but lots and lots of poultry.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, I really loved showing livestock, but I've kind of moved away from that as I've gotten older and involved in other things as well.
So as you were growing up on the family farm, was there like a moment when you realized, I kind of like it here, and it became more than just something that your family did, but something that you did?
I really just started to see that when I was in high school and I was in FFA, and I saw how each of the memories and the lessons that I learned, though they seemed so insignificant at the time, they were building a greater story and leading to a passion that I was learning to develop but didn't quite find yet. And so as I've come to learn more about it, I saw that it was never just a job or a career for my parents and grandparents, but it was their way of life. And I've come to really love that lifestyle, and I'm excited to continue to pursue it. And eventually I do want to come home to our family century farm and prepare it for the next generation of agriculturalists.
You've got a bright future ahead of you. Like a lot of members of the FFA, you joined as a freshman, right? So did you have any idea what to expect initially?
As a freshman, there is a lot about agriculture and FFA that is just thrown at you. And so for me, I had a lot to decipher through and begin to look at. FFA was something I always knew I wanted to join, but I didn't really know where my place in that would end up being.
It's pretty diverse.
It is, 100%. And so growing up in production agriculture, I knew that my start in it was going to be in that production realm and learning how to use the livestock that I was raising and the crops that we had and how that was going to tie into it. But as I grew more in FFA, I began to find that speaking side and the side of leadership. And I saw how it works hand in hand with production agriculture, and you don't have to make a divide, but how it works together. And I really fell in love with that side of it as well as I grew.
I think that was my light bulb aha moment also as a young FFA'er. I grew up on, a purebred beef cattle operation, did everything on the farm with the family. But it was the leadership component that those activities and those events, those mentors that I met, that was like, oh, okay, we can do one and the same, and they can really coincide together.
Absolutely.
So thinking of those contests, those events, maybe a mentor that made you, or were there one of those things that was like, this is me, I belong here?
My freshman year, I found a contest. It was the Agri-Science Fair. And this is a contest that's not very popular within FFA.
No, I didn't do it for a reason.
Yes. My advisor kind of pushed me towards it. She said, you seem interested in just about anything I throw your way. And so I started to look into it more. And I had started an SAE in broiler chicken production my freshman year. And I was really looking for a way to expand my operation. And
Did you raise chickens already on the farm?
Yes. So I grew up raising hens, egg layers, but it wasn't until my freshman year that I started raising broilers, which are meat birds. And that was totally different because I have these egg layers or my show birds for 5 or 6 years, but in 6 weeks, these broilers are full grown and they're going to be processed. And so that was really neat for me to learn about. But when I wanted to expand my operation, the agri-science fair came my way, and so I did a study that was testing different feed brands and the protein percentages within the feeds on different sets of broilers so that
That's a freshman.
Yeah, as a freshman. And so it grew from there, and I continued to do agri-science studies, and I really fell in love with that contest and started to find my place in FFA.
And that contest led you to the state stage?
It did. It did multiple times. I won state all 4 years of high school in the agri-science fair in different divisions every year with a different study. It led me to nationals a few times. I placed 7th as a freshman, 3rd as a sophomore, 15th as a junior, and this past year, me and my brother did a study over raptor rehabilitation programs. We partnered with Dickerson Park Zoo.
How fascinating.
It was incredible. And as we learned more about these raptor rehabilitation, and we were finding ways to expand their program and also promote it across the nation through other facilities. And so we are revising our project right now. We just won state in April, and we're sending it off to nationals to see if we're selected to move on in that process.
Okay, I have to dive deep into this.
Yes.
Because what's step one in raptor rehabilitation?
Yes.
That's a tongue twister.
It is, definitely. My mom actually works at Dickerson Park Zoo.
Okay, you had an in.
Yes, we did. And so growing up, if we weren't on the farm or at school playing sports, we were at the zoo. And it was always fun to learn about watching procedures.
It's like my dream mom. I love my mom, but the zoo is like a happy place.
It is. It was so fun to grow up there. And we help with the raptor rehabilitation program at Dickerson Park. They have people who call in raptors. They either go pick them up or they bring them in, and they come in with some sort of injury or for some reason they're brought there. And as we begin to look through, a lot of it was maybe they were found on the side of the road, hit by a car. A lot of the times we saw hawks get caught up in barbed wire or in different baling twine out in a field. And so whatever the injury was, they would be brought into the program, and with the help of the vet techs and the vet staff there, they were able to rehabilitate them and release them back into the wild. But you obviously have some that come in such critical conditions that we do have to humanely euthanize them. And so as we begin to dive into this study more and see the different effects that take place through the raptor rehabilitation programs, we were starting to find ways to create a study out of it. And we were looking at what are the main causes that they come in? How long are they here for? How much does it cost to rehabilitate a bird?
Well, that's what I was like, who's paying? Because you're just finding these animals out in the
Yes.
wild. Who's covering the cost of rehab?
Yeah, and so that's actually how the study started. They're at the zoo, they're asked to submit a report each year that's going through the budget. And this is part of their budget was for the raptor rehabilitation. And so our role was to see how beneficial it actually is to keep moving on with the program. And as we looked into it more and we saw the cost to not only feed and house these birds, but also the medications that they were giving, because that adds up fast, especially depending on the condition they come in.
Well, a vet bill for your cat is hundreds of dollars, and you have a specialized vet or technician and the specialty knowledge base that you need at a zoo.
Yes, it's very vast whenever we actually got into it. But one of our goals was to not only help Dickerson Park Zoo, but also to use those results and share them across to other facilities within the state and within the nation, so that if they were interested in starting a program, it would kind of give them an idea of what this would look like and startup cost of it.
A blueprint.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, well, I did not mean to dive off into that, but I was fascinated, and I may have to hook your mom up and bring her in. We'll talk the zoo animals.
Yeah.
Okay, so looking back, how has Ellie changed from the freshman who was reciting the creed to the senior sitting here today, and not just sitting here today, but sitting here today as the state FFA president?
I never would have imagined as a freshman that I would be here. Like I had said, my background started in production agriculture, and that is really what I thought was going to carry me through high school. I wasn't interested in leadership very much, but when I began speaking, I began to see how the organizations that I was speaking behalf of, like Missouri Farm Bureau or Missouri Institute of Cooperatives, I participated in those contests, and I saw how the story that I have growing up on a farm is valuable, and you don't have to come from much in this industry to create an impact. And so I used the story that I had created, not trying to be somebody else or trying to create something out of something that I didn't have, but growing up with what I did have and learning how to use my strengths to grow as a leader, and that just continued to open doors for me and led me to where I am today.
Well, we're going to continue to talk about your leadership and your journey and what that looks like. But let's talk more about the Missouri FFA.
Yes.
Nationally, are we still considered the largest youth organization in the country?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't want my stats might be old, but I think I've said this on here before. I'm a retired ag teacher, no benefits after 2 years.
Yeah.
But still it still hits here in the heart. But take me through kind of an update of the Missouri FFA.
Yes, nationally, we are the largest student-led organization in the nation, which is incredible to be a part of. Just a few years ago, they reached over 1 million members, which is incredible. It's beyond words that this organization is nearly a century old. We are celebrating the 100th year of FFA in 2028 because it was originally founded in 1928. And so as they go into this 100th year, with membership higher than it ever has been before, that's just a testament to the commitment that we've seen over the past 100 years. But Missouri specifically just passed affiliation for every student enrolled in agriculture education to be a part of the FFA.
So as we talk about the Missouri FFA, I think about how things have changed over those 100 years. My favorite year, 1969, when women were allowed, girls were allowed to join the FFA, and many other milestones. Another milestone nationally that really resonated with me is we are not Future Farmers of America. We are the National FFA organization because, you and I both grew up in production agriculture, but most of our members weren't. How have you seen in just the short term, 4 years in FFA, how the organizations have changed to provide for the future?
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of this organization, that it is always growing and always changing. That's something I've always loved about agriculture, is that no day is ever going to be the same. And that's what makes it exciting. But as I've grown in FFA, I've seen one of my close friends, she was not really raised in production agriculture, but she found a way through it, and she used a story to end up being a national speaker, speaking on the national stage, which was incredible for me to get to watch. But I also really appreciate that I don't have the skills to be on social media or to write blogs as much as some other students do. And so that's something I was never very familiar with. But I see as these students who don't necessarily go out and live on a farm are using their skills to promote and to advocate for this industry in a way that I don't have the skills to do. And so one thing that I've really loved learning about is how everyone is using their skills not to work against each other, but to work together and to advocate for this industry as a whole.
That is fascinating. I think back to, just a few years ago, we've been advocating for our industry since the beginning of time. However, our tools and our resources have changed, and how important it is to be telling our story on that social level, where social media wasn't the tool, 10, 15 years ago like it is today.
Absolutely. I think that's very interesting, and I've even seen that grow more as I've been in high school, and the different strategies they even have within social media and within writing and blog posts, and how they're getting it out there more and more. It's really widening our range of agriculture, which is really awesome to see.
Well, let's dive deep into your SAE, whether it was poultry production, agri-science research, very different types of agri-science research, as we come to learn, the family cow-calf farm or the cow-calf operation, the row crop production side. What do you feel taught you the most? Or what was, the experiences that you're like,
I always go back to growing up on the farm. That's where it all started for me. And so my favorite SAE has been I do labor exchange on my family farm to fund my other SAEs. And so for me, that's where it all started. Just the other day, I came home from camp, and Saturday morning we were up working cattle. And so there's never a day off.
No break.
No, but I always go back to that and how much I love, because it's not just working in agriculture, but it's working alongside our family. And those moments are really special to me.
Well, exchange of labor was I actually got to go to nationals with my beef production placement SAE, and it was all exchange of labor, which is getting paid on paper, but not a check in hand for all the things you do on the farm, and that's really that learning to do component of that FFA motto.
Absolutely.
So beyond this little blue jacket that you're wearing, what else is Ellie involved in?
Well, throughout high school, I was involved in just about any organization that I could find. I grew up playing sports. I played 5 different sports in high school, from the swim team to wrestling, volleyball, soccer and tennis were my sports. I played them all in different seasons, and I learned so much from each and enjoyed them, but my real passion was right back in FFA. I was also involved in FBLA and FCCLA. I competed in both of those at the state and national levels, and so that grew my range of people that I got to network with and begin to know through
those
that.
skills, they cross over.
They 100% do. I was a part of the National Honor Society, our Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and the Student Council program that we have at our high school. And so outside of just school, though, I'm a part of the Dickerson Park Zoo crew.
Can I come?
Yes, come volunteer with us. No, it is a volunteer program for teenagers and for youth in the area, and we go and work alongside keepers. I was also involved in our county 4-H program, and that led me not only from the club level, but to serve on our county council and then on our extension council there in Polk County, which just continued to widen my range of people and network.
So I have a 6-year-old and a 12-year-old at home, and shockingly, my 12-year-old, she wants to listen to me on the podcast, and I'm like, you don't need to listen to me. But she will listen to this, and I think of all the other young people that may or may not. You're busy.
Yes.
Okay. So how do you balance everything without burnout?
For a while, I wasn't very good at it, and I'm still learning how to become better at that. But for me, it took understanding where I really wanted to be and the people I wanted to be around and the organizations that I really wanted to pursue. And so that is part of the reason that I tried so many different things in high school, because I didn't know what I was going to love and I didn't know what I was going to enjoy. My senior year, I started to see that a little bit more, and I ended up not playing a winter or a spring sport, which was very uncommon for me. But it was a step that I took to pursue FFA at a higher level, and I'm glad I took that step. And so sometimes it does take a while just to learn what you really want to do, and high school is a great time to do that because you have teachers and you have coaches who want to see you succeed, but they want to see you succeed in your passions too. And so even if it wasn't in their given activity, I had mentors who were pushing me to pursue something that I truly loved.
Still cheering you on. So let's talk about maybe those lessons or leadership skills you learned through that have helped you, those things outside of the FFA that have helped you in your FFA career.
One of the biggest things that I have been a part of at Bolivar has been learning how to work on a team. And I've really loved that. Growing up in a town where Liberator was our mascot. The Liberator, we were the only Liberators in the entire nation.
And what is a Liberator?
That is a great question.
You're still trying to figure it out now.
We are still trying to figure it out. But it was unique. Yeah, it is unique. It shows a lot of school spirit. And
you're not like the Tigers.
Yes, yeah. So our coaches would always
No offense to any Tigers listeners.
Yes. Our coaches would always tell us there's only one Liberator. And so that really created a community and a culture at our school that I've strived to carry into when I was an area officer in FFA, or even now serving on the state team. How am I going to work through our diversities to grow stronger together in sports? I really love to see that because we had students who were really involved in FFA, or maybe they were really involved in the family and consumer science realm, or they were business students. And so as I began to see how each of our passions were still working together on the same team because we were seeking after a united goal, I saw that even if we don't come from the same backgrounds or viewpoints, we are still emerging stronger as a team. And that is a big lesson that I've carried with me.
It's if anyone is not familiar with the FFA, shame on you. Not kidding. I'm joking. But to be a state officer, it's a big journey.
Yes.
I mean, you start. You may or may not have had that goal as a younger FFAer, but just the process from beginning to interview to that stage at state convention is a long journey. So let's talk about that process, because most people wouldn't know what the candidates and the amount of candidates that they go through. So let's go back to, when did you decide to run?
I didn't decide to run until February of my senior year. It was very late.
Oh, you're a late bloomer.
Yes, yeah. I spent a lot of time thinking about what I wanted, where I wanted to go to college to be a state officer. You do have to attend college in the state of Missouri, and I was pretty set for a while going to Kansas State. And so it made some decisions that brought me back to Missouri. Yes, it is. But so yeah, I was definitely later in my decision. Yeah.
So you've decided you're going to run, and the rules are that every chapter can bring one candidate, correct?
I believe so.
Okay. To the area level. So you have to earn the right for your chapter to send you on to the area, and then you compete at the area level. Take me through that competition.
Yes. So their area contest, leading up to it, I had a lot of support from my chapter, and my advisors were pushing me to be there. And
of course you did.
Yes,
they're good people.
They are. They really are. Going into the area contest for me, was very intimidating because I'd grown up with those people. And when you get to the state level, there's students that you don't know as well. But when you really know each other and you're tight at the area level, it's hard to see that who moves on and who doesn't move on. And so that was something that I really struggled with emerging out of the area level. But it definitely, I walked out of my interview there, I was like, I've got to focus on what I really want if I want to continue in this journey. And it taught me a lot, but it also pushed me to know I really do want to be here, and I'm excited to move on to the state level and the state round. But that was a very eye-opening round for me before moving on to the state contest.
And so from the area competition, how many proceed to state?
There's 2 from every area in our state.
2 from every area. So state competition has changed. It is well, okay, I think I may have to fact check myself. Someone will fact check me in the comments, I'm sure. But I think maybe you can send 2 from your chapter now. And then two, and so you could technically have 2 kids from one chapter make state, because it's not divided by areas anymore. It's divided by just the best 16, right?
Right now, I think maybe 2 from each area can move.
Okay.
Or 2 from each area, 2 for each chapter can go to area, but the area can only send 1 from that chapter.
Okay.
But not every area is going to send 2 candidates. Not every area has 2 candidates that run. And so, no, moving on to the state round, this year we had 24 candidates. And so you can have up to 32 at the state round.
Okay.
It just depends on the given year.
And so it's not just one interview.
No, it's 2 days of interviews.
2 days. Okay.
Yes.
Take me through it.
Yeah. We went up to Columbia on a Friday morning, and there is 5 different components that are in these interviews. They're all found in the handbook that's on the FFA website.
I haven't read that in a few
That's okay. Yeah. And so the main parts of it are you're asked to give a personal interview. There's a stand and deliver, which is like an impromptu speech.
So your interview, are you interviewing who just
there's
personal
a
interview?
committee.
A committee, okay.
The committee that is evaluating everything throughout the next 2 days. And so they're going through your biographies and your submissions, and they're listening to your interviews, they're listening to your topics. You're asked to do a writing exercise and take a knowledge test over agriculture education and FFA, and there's even a group exercise where they're evaluating how you work on a team and looking into that more too. And between those, they're split up into 2 days, and some of the exercises are repeated into the following day to help make more decisions. But it's exciting because you're in the room with all the other candidates, and the energy is high because you can tell how much everybody wants to be there.
And this is the cream of the crop.
It is, yeah. And then they also have the nervous energy that flows through that room too.
I'm nervous thinking about it.
Yeah. And then that night we get a dinner and we get to listen to a speaker and head off to bed and get ready for another day, which it was exciting to see. And that Saturday, they would announce, after everything was said and done, it was about 3 o'clock that Saturday that they announced the 16.
So you, the 16, represent the state of Missouri, and you find out that day for the 16, but you don't find out until convention what if you made like president, vice president, or secretary.
Yeah.
Correct?
And so I remember going home that weekend, and our family always has dinner on a Sunday night, and they were congratulating me on making the team, and they were like, aren't you still nervous? Like, you don't know if you got a position yet. And I remember telling them that being on the 16 as a state officer team is an honor. And it doesn't truly matter if you're the president, the vice president, the secretary, because we're all there for the same purpose and to serve these members. And to me, the title is just another way to find ways to advocate, but it doesn't mean any more or less than any other person on this team, which is awesome.
So throughout that process, what was the hardest, most challenging part for you?
For me, I struggled with knowing that there were so many people that I had met in my journey in FFA, in my community, and in my town that were supporting me and really wanting to see me succeed. And my biggest worry that I wasn't going to, and that I may have not been elected to the team. And I was always had that thought of, I don't want to necessarily let myself down, but I don't want to let these people who are supporting me down.
Was there like one question in the interview process that stood out for you that made you stop and like, whew, that's a doozy?
We're actually not supposed to talk about. No, that's okay. We can talk about
they're
like
not supposed to. You cannot give like, next year's candidates a
question. Yeah. But I think the rest of it is fine because that's all like.
Well, we do not want to get you in.
Yes. No, that's okay.
Okay, so lots of hard questions that we will never know about. Okay, skip that question. So, you're on the stage at State FFA Convention, which takes place every April.
Yes.
You're on stage. What was when you heard your name as the 2026-27 Missouri State FFA president, what was the first thing you thought of?
So I actually wasn't there.
Oh my goodness. I am on a losing streak of questions.
That is okay. I was competing in entomology at the time.
Of course. Yes. Of course. Well, why would they announce that when not everybody could be there?
It's at the delegate session. It's at the business session. And
yes, that's true.
Yeah. And the time that I was scheduled to compete and I was in the middle of taking my entomology test, I knew they were announcing it and I was sitting there.
How do you concentrate on bugs?
I was trying to take that test and I was just thinking, I'm like, they're announcing it, like I just know they're going through it. And then I moved into the ID portion, and that's the part I really love about entomology. And so all of that went out the window, and I really focused on the contest.
And your ag teacher, Mrs. Brown, bugs are her thing.
She loves them.
I've learned so much about bugs from her.
Oh yeah, she's poured in so much during our contest season, and we're very grateful for the way that she represented us. And
entomology is much more than bugs.
Yes, absolutely. Insects. She would get on to me if I was saying bugs. It was insects.
Ashley, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I had a professor in college that he was my soils professor, Dr. Fuqua. If you said dirt, he was like, this is the F word in my class.
Yeah.
Dirt is underneath your fingernails.
It's soil.
Yeah.
No, we heard that a lot in our Ag 2 class. But I remember walking out of the entomology contest. At that point, I wasn't even thinking about state office or anything like that. I was so fixated on like, oh, I just competed at state in entomology. And I walk out and I see Miss Brown standing there. And at first I was, at first I was just excited to tell her about the contest. Yeah. And I walk over to her and she didn't say anything. And I was like, are you going to ask me how I did? Still didn't say much. And she kind of grabbed my arms and then it came back to me. I was like, oh, they announced it. And she told me I was elected as the state president. And I remember standing there and embraced her in a hug. And I was in complete shock. That wasn't even something that came to my mind as ever in the 4 years, thinking that I was going to be elected as a state president. But what made that moment even more special is that even while I was competing, my brother was at the delegate session, and he was a delegate. And he got to, he did. He got to second the motion that installed us into office. And so when I found out that he had done that, I was like, that was really special. That was
really cool. Is he a year younger, a couple years younger?
He is going to be a junior, so he's 2 years younger. Yeah.
So that whole process has led to, or that whole story has made me think about a relationship between a student and their ag teacher.
Yes.
I think that, like, we've had ag teachers on. I had great mentors in my career, and ag teachers, not necessarily in my school, but that helped me along the way, and they're mentors and friends still to this day. That take me through not just your experience with your ag teachers, but that impact they have on your lives.
Agriculture education is such an incredible sector because it truly takes a good person to be an ag teacher. And they are not dedicating just 8 hours a day in a classroom, but they're spending mornings working on contests, afternoons taking us to different competitions, and going to state and national conventions with just a week out of their whole year. They're leaving their families, leaving their farms. And so I've had a lot of respect for my advisors, but I've also seen how much they pour into us, and not only as students, but as people. And that's something that I've really come to admire about them, is their dedication to these organizations and to their students, which has been really neat to see. And I'm excited to see how they continue to grow and build our chapters, not just at Bolivar, but across the state.
Absolutely. So you recently said, I did a deep dive in an interview article. You recently said that success is no longer about a title or a plaque. but it is the impact that you make. So what does impact look like for you?
For me, when I first found I was elected to state office, or when I was thinking about running for state office, I knew the impact was no longer about those things that you could achieve, like you had said, but about how I could serve these members. And not just the members, but how I could be an advocate for this industry. I've already got to see that. I attended Public Speaking Academy in week 2 of FFA camp, and it's a fun time to get to have fun with these members, play games with them, go to leadership sessions, but also to have genuine conversations and learn about their journeys in FFA, learn about their SAEs, and be able to pour into them as I was once poured into by mentors that I had or other state officers that crossed my path as a member.
So lofty goal here, because it's not tangible at all. But if you could sit down with every single FFA freshman in the state of Missouri for 5 minutes, what would you tell them?
I would first want to get to know them as a person, see what their interests are, what their passions are, and I would share with them a story. And the story started at a Christmas dinner in our family, and we were sitting around the table, and if you've ever been around my family, it is utter chaos most of the time.
Most families are.
Absolutely, and we were sitting in the midst of everything going on. My papa set down his fork, and he looked up at the room, and he said, "I hope that you all know that we are the richest people on this earth." And within seconds, the table was back in chaos. And so there wasn't much in the moment that I remembered, but it stuck with me. And as I thought about that more and more, I thought about the things that made us rich. And growing up on a dairy farm in Southwest Missouri, there's not much richness in a bank account.
Well, there's a reason that you pivoted from dairy to beef.
Absolutely, yeah. And so I would encourage that freshman to find something that makes them rich, because so often it isn't found in money or in intangible items. But once I found that and was able to pursue it, I found success in a new light, and I saw failure through a new light, and it led me down a road that I'm excited to continue to pursue. And so I would really encourage that member to find something they are passionate about and pursue that, because that will lead to true richness for them.
There's a reason why you're sitting here today. Good job. That's a fantastic story. So this next year, you're going to be traveling to state and beyond, representing Missouri agriculture, not just the FFA, but Missouri agriculture. You shared that your impact, that you want to impact and serve.
Yes.
But what are you the most excited about?
One thing that I've always loved as a member was going to national convention. And so I'm excited to go back as a delegate this year.
Take me through that process. So what do the state officers at each state get to do during national FFA convention?
So going into this, I'm not really for sure what that process is going to look like yet. In just a few weeks, me and the state secretary, Madeline O'Brien, had the opportunity to go to Washington, D.C., and we begin that process. And so we'll be divided up into committees and begin to learn about what it's going to look like to be a delegate. And then while we're at convention, there are sessions before convention fully starts, before opening session, and then there is some throughout the week. And so though I don't fully know what that's going to look like yet, I'm anticipating it with excitement to see what national convention from another side is going to look like this year.
Well, and let's take us back, and we'll kind of educate listeners on the process of the FFA. It's very diplomatic.
Yes.
It looks like similar to how elected officials represent their communities. Yeah. You know, at the state level or at the chapter level, every member has a vote. Yes. They get to vote. At the area level, every chapter sends delegates to vote on what that area is. At the state level, you also send delegates to represent your chapter. Yeah. And then now you get to do that same thing at the national level. So you're representing there every single Missouri FFA. Yes.
Yeah, and it's a lot to wrap your mind around, knowing that there's 30,000 members' votes riding on what you choose to say and do those delegate sessions. But it's also what makes this organization what it is, because it is truly ran by these members and their voices are heard. And that is something that I've really loved about FFA, because I have been involved in a lot of things. And I've seen organizations that are trying to be ran by adults or by teachers who think that but seeing one that's ran by students is something that I've really loved to see, because it is truly coming from the future generation. And we're seeing issues, we're being told issues that we see in agriculture, and we're able to pursue that firsthand, which has been an awesome experience, because not only are we learning it in high school, but we are going to be the future leaders of this industry. And so as we learn it now, it's giving us better skills to continue to do that in the future.
Well, and I'll correct you. You are not the future. You are the now.
Yes.
You are actively leading. And whether that's a freshman in high school, a senior, or a state FFA president, you are actively leading.
That's true.
So, thinking of this next year, what's one thing you want to learn about yourself?
I am excited because it's not just going into this new year as president, but also I'm beginning college, and I'm beginning to learn to see a
big
whole
year.
new light. It is. And one thing that I really want to continue to grow in and to learn in is how I can continue to be of service to others, and in what way I continue to build my skills while still being able to serve the industry and people that has supported me along the way. And already being a state officer is helping me see that more and more, but I'm excited to see how I can do that through internships or through a collegiate setting and continue to pursue that.
So you're going to the University of Missouri.
Yes.
I can't believe you're going to be a tiger. I'm a bear, but I won't hold it against you.
Okay.
Agriculture education? Or what are you thinking to major in?
Yeah, so that's my intended major as of right now. Yeah. I was never very set on becoming an ag teacher, but the ag and major is something that I'm very interested in, because you get classes in plant science and in animal science, and you're learning about ag business, and that's something that has really caught my eye about the major. But I'm also interested in ag business too, and so we'll see where the Lord directs that path once I get there.
Well, they're both very diverse, and you will, I mean, let's be honest, you are already leaps and bounds ahead of many with your drive and your passion. But it's connections. And no matter whatever line of work you choose, you're going to meet people along the way, whether it's ag ed, ag business, that will help you get your foot in the door, and you're going to learn from them, and you're going to, and you already have a great set of mentors. And that's part of what the college experience is about.
Yeah. I'm excited for it to do some internships with Missouri commodity or co-op groups across the state. And so those are all things I'm getting excited for moving into this next chapter of life as well.
Well, as we wrap up, I like to ask people, their plan B, or what would you tell your 18-year-old self? But, I mean, I'm guessing you're 18.
Yes.
Okay. So let's not go back. I can't. What would you tell yourself?
Yeah.
So let's go back to your freshman year. What would be, so freshman year, Ellie, what, maybe even before you ever zipped up that blue corduroy jacket, what would you tell yourself?
Going back to that, we've spoke about it briefly earlier, is trying everything that you can at that time. And I really tried to as a freshman, but there were also paths that I wouldn't take because I didn't know anybody in it, or I was too scared to go try that. Or even in FFA, I would get caught up in something that I had done for 4 years. I'd be afraid to quit that and then move into something else. So I would really try to go back and find something that was new and exciting that also interests me, to not only widen my knowledge of this industry or other parts of high school, but also to continue to see how you could build upon that and how everything works hand in hand to grow and to build you into a person.
Well, I'm going to put you on the spot, but I think you can handle it. As we wrap up, I want you to talk directly to the 30,000 Missouri FFAers. Okay, I want you to give a big shout out and, one thing that you hope that they can take away from today's conversation.
That is a big question. Addressing all 30,000. I wasn't ready for that until state convention.
I know.
No, everything that I've done leading up to state office has always been built back into the words that I shared with you earlier that my papa had told us. Finding what makes you rich and pursuing that. And it's not something that you find in a day or in a week or even a year, but it's something that you're going to continue to find each day. And there's going to be new opportunities. And this past week, I was at FFA camp and I gave a speech about different hardships or challenges that I faced. And I shared some stories through that, but talking about how each of those moments are creating a piece of a puzzle that is much greater than we see, and how we're each uniquely made and how each of our stories matter.
Well, Ellie, thank you for taking us beyond the gate of not just you personally, but the Missouri FFA, what it takes to zip up that blue corduroy, what it takes to stand on the stage and to represent the Missouri FFA at this level. Thanks for joining me in the studio.
Well, Jamie, thank you so much for having me out here today. I was really excited for this opportunity.
Thanks for joining me for another episode of Beyond the Gate. If you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. New episodes drop every other Wednesday. For more content, follow Around the Ozarks and Beyond the Gate on Facebook and Instagram, and subscribe to the daily newsletter at aroundtheozarks.com. Join us next time as we share more stories of the grit, growth, and spirit of rural life.